Welcome to Simplyrobotix, the podcast, a podcast exploring the animation industry one episode at a time. I'm your host, Monique, and you can find me on all social media platforms at Simplyrobotix, Simplyrobotix, and use the hashtag Simplyrobotixpod to join in on the conversation. Now, today's episode is about Space Jam. I want to give a shout out to Super by Cope because I found them earlier this year and I've been getting a lot of shirts from them. Today's shirt, Space Jam OG shirt. I just really like it, and it's not sponsored. You know, I bought this shirt with my own money and I just wanted to give them and their shirts a little shout out. So for today's episode, even though it's like a movie review, I'm not going to do what I normally do with movie reviews. It's basically a full spoiler, and I'm just gonna go through some of my favorite moments or notable moments of the movie and then just like keep it moving. The movie starts off with like young LeBron in 1998, and he's playing this basketball game, and his friend Monique gives him a Game Boy because like he got a Game Boy Color or he got something, whatever. And LeBron's coach is like, you know, you got to keep your head in the game. You got to stay focused, blah, 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 because LeBron was playing it and like, I don't know, missed his cue to come on the court or something like that. And so after the game, when the coach is talking to him, LeBron is like, you can tell he's processing in his head, like, you know what, you're right. I need to be focused. I need to keep my head in the game, whatever. And he throws the Game Boy in the garbage. Okay. Now, I was like, in 1998, I was 9 years old. I would have not thrown a Game Boy in the garbage. Like, are you kidding me? I could not believe that. But I was like, I know you're supposed to be focused and keep your head in the game, but just put it in your book bag and be like, okay, I'll just play it later. You know, I won't play it during practice or whatever have you, or the game. So I thought that was funny. So we fast forward a bit to, I didn't give out any details about the movie. You know what? And I guess I'm not, because I didn't take note of it. It came out this year, July 16th, 2021. It's like a sequel, which is, I don't know if it's a sequel per se. It's like, and it's not a re-imaging of the first Space Jam movie either. And I think I'll get more into that later. It's definitely just like, let's just say a sequel. It's a sequel for like the Looney Tune characters, right? So anyways, LeBron James, is true to like himself in this movie. He's a basketball superstar, you know, the king, and his family seems to be pretty similar to his actual real life family, wife, couple kids. He has one son, Dom, that is not all that interested in basketball, right? So while Dom and the other brother, which I didn't take note of his name, are on the basketball court, LeBron comes out. And this was kind of funny to me in this moment because LeBron tells Dom, like, look at your brother putting in that work. And then everything between these four lines, you know, the basketball court is work. And then LeBron's like, you can't be great without putting in that work. And then when Dom like leaves because he's like, you know, like he doesn't want to deal with this anymore, he then decides to come back. And then LeBron's like, all right, man, like, let's go to work. And it's like, man, were they conscious of how many times they said work in that little segment? Like work. Like, I don't really know. So we fast forward a little bit, and Don, I always fumble over his name. Don Cheadle, right? He plays Algorithm, which is like a play on the word algorithm. And he is inside the Warner Brothers Serververse. So he has this great idea, which is basically to replace various main characters in various Warner Brother properties with LeBron James, right? So it's like LeBron James as Harry Potter, or LeBron James as like a villain fighting Batman, and LeBron James as Jon Snow in Game of Thrones. And LeBron is like, this is a trash idea, like big trash idea. So LeBron also says that like when athletes are acting movies, it's never a good idea. Like it never works. And I thought that was a really like self-conscious, funny moment. And, you know, there's a lot of those throughout the movie. And I will say too that, I watched this 2 times. I watched it one time just for the experience. I went in with low expectations. I was like, I understood that this Space Jam movie is not for me. It's not for little me that saw the first one when she was like 7. This is for the new 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds who like look up to LeBron James the same way a lot of us millennials looked up and admired Michael Jordan at the time too, right? Cool. So when LeBron shoots down Algie's idea, like Algie starts getting crazy in the head. He's just, he's probably just zeros and ones, but he starts going off, right? So long story short, LeBron ends up in the Serververse with Dom. And then Algie Rhythm is like, right, whatever, and sends LeBron off to the Looney Tunes world, and they basically reenact in this moment like, okay, LeBron, if you want your son back, you want to get out of the Serververse, you got to play me in basketball and go off to Looney Tune world and find you a team. And it's funny that he sends him to Looney Tune world because as LeBron enters Looney Tune world and he starts to walk through it, because of him, the Looney Tune world population goes from 1 to 2. So it's like, oh, Algie sent him here to get a team, and there's no population here, right? It's just only one. So when LeBron lands in Toon World, he crashes, and when he kind of comes up from the hole that he has created, it's a Nike check. Just do it. So I was like, branding, but okay. So LeBron meets Bugs. Bugs makes a joke about how so LeBron and Bugs, they meet a little bit, and LeBron is like, Bugs Bunny knows who I am? And Bugs is like, of course I know who you are, because like, despite, living in this Toon world, we still have TNT. And Bugs Bunny is holding up a TNT bomb, as they do in Looney Tunes, but he's referring to the network too that plays basketball games, TNT, in case you didn't know for some reason. So LeBron explains to Bugs why he's there, and Bugs goes, you want me, a talking cartoon bunny, to play with you, an NBA superstar all-star, in a high-stakes basketball game? He's like, this sounds awfully familiar. And it's like, ooh, another self-awareness moment in Space Jam. So they start going to different worlds, basically exploring all the WB Warner Brothers properties, and it's revealed that like LeBron James is a Hufflepuff, which is interesting. I wonder if this is true or not, or if this was just for the movie, because I am a Hufflepuff. So I think that would be dope, but it's interesting. So LeBron James is like saying like, I want Superman, I want Iron Giant, I want King Kong, to be on this team. And all the while Bugs is like, I'm gonna do my own thing over here. And Bugs is basically putting in the coordinates to go to the different areas or planets, to places in the Serververse where his friends basically from the Toon Squad would be. And he doesn't immediately reveal that to LeBron, but they come to that conclusion one way or another. So I want to say and acknowledge that like I loved, one of the first stops they made was actually to the DC universe and to get Daffy Duck and Porky Pig. And I will say I really, really loved that world, because I'm also watching Batman Beyond, and I think I'm gonna go into Batman the animated series when I finish, and then Justice League, and then all that sort of stuff. And I'm really enjoying rewatching Batman Beyond because of the style back then too. So to be in the DC universe, they're just so good at that stuff. I haven't really watched some of the new DC animated content, and that will come eventually, but I'm really enjoying myself being like nostalgic, and I'm talking with my hands so much, and I am sorry in advance and apologize for that. But yeah, so to continue, So when I was watching this in the movie theaters, I was in and out of this segment when Bugs and LeBron are going to these different worlds, picking up the Looney Tunes characters. Like, my friend says I was making excuses, but it's true. We went to brunch. I had my belly full, okay? And then we went to those theaters, because the theater that I normally go to here in Queens, it doesn't have the reclining chairs. So now I'm here with a belly full. In a reclining seat. I'm trying to enjoy the movie, but it was starting to lose me with this part anyway, with the character. But I was in and out of consciousness. So in rewatching it earlier today, actually, before I'm recording this, I was like, dang, like I really missed some of these parts, like with Granny being in the Matrix. Was it Yosemite? He was in some 1940s movie. I can't remember. I probably never even seen it. So anyways, I also missed the fact that even though I saw some bits of Lola Bunny when they went to get her, I didn't pick up that they actually went to the comic book, Wonder Woman comic book. They weren't in like the DC universe. They went to the comic book verse to get Lola Bunny as she's, about to become this Amazonian. I thought that was kind of interesting how they went to the comic book world too. So when I finally like kind of snapped out of my almost food coma. It was when Monique, LeBron's friend, the one that gave him the Game Boy, but it's also like his agent or something, was trying to talk to like a security guard on the Warner Brothers lot, like, hey, have you seen LeBron? Because they were missing LeBron and Dom. So that's when I woke up, when they were like kind of going back into the pace of things. I'm not really going to go into too much detail with all that other stuff. They end up having the game. The game is in the Toon World. I thought that the characters actually did not look that bad when they became 3D. You know, the 2D animation was really, really good in this film, in my opinion. Sometimes I did feel like it was a little wonky or a little shaky, but when the game, the Serververse classic basketball game was starting and they all became like 3D from 2D, I was like, oh, they actually look kind of good. So, when I first watched this in theaters, I missed that Algie used Dom's phone's technology to scan people into their phone to get to the basketball game. Like, Dom mentioned that the way that he was able to get these characters in his video game, Dom, I don't know if I mentioned earlier this, but he creates video games. That's why he's not really into basketball. So Dom, his dad's, LeBron's basketball friends, he used his phone to like do scans, and the scans would be putting the physical, you know, whatever movements and what have you into his phone. And then he would transfer that from his phone to his game. So Algie just took that technology and said, okay, well, that's how we're going to get our crowd into the Serververse. So moving forward, now I'm just going to do some notes about the Serververse game. There were so many WB cameos. I am not the one to point them all out. I didn't pause it. I didn't do a bunch of freeze frames. I'm going to do people that caught my eye. Was the It Clown. Is it the Ice Walkers? I forget what those vampire creature things were called from the Game of Thrones. The Ice King, if that was his name. I don't know, because it's Ice King from Adventure Time. I forget. I forget. But anyways, he was there from Game of Thrones. He was mad hyped. Iron Giant, Megilla Gorilla, The Mask, Blend in Black, the Wicked Witch of the West. There were some nuns there. There were so many people. And they were like having a blast. I think the people who were closer to Don Cheadle for sure were like the most hyped because they knew they were getting mad screen time. So that's it. So there's a moment where it was funny in theaters, but when I was watching it like at home by myself, it was like significantly more funny. And it's when Sylvester the Cat, it's halftime, Toon Squad is down by like 1,000 points, and their mood is just shot. Like they need a pep talk. And Sylvester's like, oh my gosh, guys, oh my gosh, I found him. Like I found the Michael Jordan. And I'm sitting there like, how did they convince Michael Jordan to make a cameo in this? And how much money did they have to pay? And like, they never announced it. Like this, I'm here like, they ain't got Michael Jordan. And then what happens is Michael B. Jordan comes out. And everybody's like, are you serious? That's Michael B. Jordan. And they're like, oh, so you couldn't get Michael A. Jordan and you had to get Michael B. Jordan? And I was like, why is this so funny to me this time? I honestly, I don't know. So there's also a rap moment in this film. And I wanted to like pull my hair out. Like I kid you not. I was like, why do all these animated movies have to have a freaking rap moment in them? Like, please. Even though Porky Pig did his thing, like he was good, you know, I was like, all right, whoever the ghostwriter is, okay, fine. You know, this may have been one of the better rap verses that I've heard in an animated movie. I don't want it. I want y'all to stop. Just stop it. So there was another moment that I found super funny this time around than the first time. And that is when Algie starts going off on the Goon Squad. And it started off kind of funny because he's like, oh, you think this is a game? And it's like, well, yeah, this is a game, but it's not a game anymore, you know? And then he turns and he starts getting mean to Dom, saying like, maybe your dad was right. And I was like, ooh. It's like, damn, now this is not funny anymore, you know? So starting to wind down, there's a moment where like Dom goes to play with his dad and like not against his dad anymore. I don't know if I even communicated that. Probably not. But Dom and his dad were on separate teams because Algie is a master manipulator. So Dom ends up going to play with the Toon Squad with his dad. And then Algie becomes a basketball player. And this is the moment really when the graphics started to get wonky for me because Don Cheadle turns into like a CG version of himself. And I'm like, I don't think I'm really here for this. Like, He looks kind of odd because he's big and he's swollen, and I just don't like it. As the movie or the game begins to, I think they're like at a 1 point difference, and the movie you can tell is winding down. Buzz does this move that LeBron does, you know, something with a step back and then shoot, and it causes a glitch in Dom's game, and Dom hasn't gotten a chance to fix it. Buzz sacrifices himself to do the move, even though he knows that he could be wiped out from the Toon world or the Serververse and all that sort of stuff. And they win the game, and everybody's like, like, you know, cheers, all that sort of stuff. Everyone gets sent home. The Toon world becomes as it was, and the Toon characters, the Looney Tunes, are there with Bugs, and Bugs is glitching, and then Buzz just turns into like a burst of light and like turns into like almost like the Northern Star, and then you see like an outline of him, and then it just like poof. Like, I don't know. And so I'm here like, why would they fake kill Bugs Bunny in this movie? Like, is this really necessary? Like, is it? So then the movie kind of winds down with LeBron's walking Dom to basketball camp, and then it's revealed that's actually the video game camp that he wanted to go to. And then Bugs shows up, and it's like, you can't kill me, I'm a cartoon, like, you know, I could survive everything. And he's like, yeah, let's do Taco Tuesdays and all sorts of other stuff. And it's like the end. And all in all, I thought LeBron James did what he had to do. Okay, his acting wasn't great. I also don't think it was terrible, and I think it was more enjoyable the second time around. And it's been now like 2 weeks since I've seen it. Well, since I saw the first time, like there were 2 weeks in between both viewings for me, you know. Like my friend who I went to see it with, I think he saw it within a couple days of each other because of his job. So I think for me, having that time and distance, it really worked out in my favor. The second thing, Algae Rhythm being played by Don Cheadle, I thought he also did what he had to do. He did have a tremendous amount of screen time. You know, it was almost his movie, but I thought it was so pleasing to see him in such a carefree role. Like, I've always seen him in more serious stuff. So to just see him be this like really villain character that I can't even take serious, and that he has all this like confidence kind of in like swag and arrogance and stuff like that. I just found him to be really funny, and he did have some corny jokes, and you know, yeah, it was all fine on me. And then Zendaya, I am so over personally like celebrities voicing animated characters. I understand why it's done and where it came from, really. I'll get into that in a future episode, but I'm tired of it because sometimes it's hard not to hear the celebrity as you're watching these animated characters. However, even though sometimes I would be reminded that it's Zendaya as Lola Bunny, I thought it was actually really, really good. Like, I thought she did a great job, and I was really happy that they kept Lola's character, or that they went back to, for this movie, they reverted back to Lola's character from the first movie. Because if you have taken a glimpse or seen any sort of tidbits of the Looney Tune reboot series, she's dumb there. It's like, she can't function, she's codependent on Bugs, and I really don't like that they did that to her character for the show. So I'm grateful that for the movie they didn't keep the Looney Tunes spin-off character, because what is that? Like, even in her expressions and stuff like that, she is like, yeah. So I mean, just overall, I'm happy that they did Lola's character justice. So that's it. Overall, I like Space Jam 2. I can see myself watching it again as like something I put on in the background, or something that's just like kind of feel good. It is super, super silly. It's not what we came up with back in 1996 or whatever the years that came out. Space Jam 1 has a place in my heart. It's so sentimental to me. And I hope that this movie could be somewhat of the same thing for this new generation, whatever they're calling the little kids that's in junior high and elementary school right now. I don't know if this movie's for everyone, like in terms of millennials. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was rougher the first time I watched it, but the second time I watched it, even though I was watching it more critically the second time, I was like, this is just a wacky, silly time. You know, don't take this movie seriously. Don't take it more seriously than it's taking itself to a certain extent, and you might be able to have an okay time with it. So that's my 2, 3, 4, 5 cents. Thank you again for listening, and let me know what you think. No, honestly, let me know what you think if you saw Space Jam 2. I would like to hear your thoughts, especially if you saw Space Jam 1 back in the day, or you saw it whenever. I actually want to know your thoughts, and don't forget to use the hashtag Simplyrobotixpod. Follow me on all social media platforms at Simplyrobotics, the website simplyrobotics.com to find out more other things. So I'm happy that this episode made it, because camera issues, there was a fly when I was trying to get ready to record and I was jumping and screaming, and I was like, I gotta give up. Maybe I can't record this today. But the episode is here and it happened. So until next time, thank you again. See ya.